Hi everyone, welcome to the Business Spotlight interview series. Today we have our guest Chris from Tutors and Exams, the CEO. Welcome Chris to the Business Spotlight interview series.
Hi,
And
Daniel.
hi, and just a quick intro on Tutors and Exams. They are the leading independent private candidate UK exam centers.
Absolutely,
Uh,
yeah. We're global as well. We're in South Africa too.
Oh, lovely. Oh, that's wonderful to know. Okay, let's do this again. Leading independent private candidate, UK and South Africa, Global Exam Center.
Global, definitely.
Yeah,
Yeah.
how does it? Wonderful. Welcome, Chris. Welcome to the show. Uh, it would be great if we hear from you about you and the business.
Okay, so about me, I'm a middle-aged man who's found my way in life doing exams, but I come from a very different background. My background started, very young age. Those of you who are as ancient as me will remember the YTS.
Mhm.
That's how I started, basically in retail. So I used to run menswear shops back in the day, if anybody can remember that
Mhm.
far back when the high street still existed.
Okay.
And moving on from that, I went into sportswear, and then I ended up in where I really found myself was in warehousing. So I became the inventory manager for the likes of Vodafone, Dell, Apple.
Mm.
Then moved my way into an engineering company. So I went
Wow.
to run their service organization. So became an engineering and process kind of brain. That's where that ended up. So I did that for a few years. Then, unfortunately, in the big crash of 2007, 2008, a lot of money wiped off manufacturing and car, automotive. And that's where the engineering business that I was working for at the time, that's where they were. So I got made redundant from there. And my wife was working in the local secondary school. And she said, right, there's some temporary jobs going here. So I went from earning quite a lot of money to earning, I think it must have been about £7.50 an hour at the time.
Wow. Wow.
Thought my world had ended, but little did I know, everything's an opportunity in life. And that opened the doors for me to understanding exams. And I got offered the job as an exams officer within the school, which was still a significant way off what I was earning before, but changed my life completely. The lifestyle, understanding how the futures were put in place with their education was absolutely opening. And my wife and I ended up working together in the exams office, and it was there that I got noticed by one of the awarding bodies who delivered the exams, part of the Cambridge group, and I ended up working for them then as a manager, showing other exams officers, the complexities of exams and how to implement them within their schools. And then from that, with the change of government way back when the Tories first came in, that opened up opportunities that we never thought were imaginable. And I remember sitting in a meeting and asking our directors where private candidates were going to go. Yeah. And it was an opportunity for us as an organisation because we'd lost a lot of business because of the change of government. They changed a lot of the policies, affected the awarding bodies. And basically from there, my wife and I, Jenny, we opened up Tutors Exams within about 12 weeks, 6 to 12 weeks. Was. Yeah, from coming up with the idea to opening it up to receiving our first candidates. And here we are 10 years on, and we have 10 centres in the UK. We have 3 in South Africa, and we're looking at other areas in Asia and the Middle East and America. So it's just been incredible. The trajectory has just been amazing, and not for the faint-hearted. I'm actually 23. I just look 48.
If you would have not told us, Chris, we would have guessed it. I mean, when you said middle aged, I was like, okay, really? No, you look much younger, not just to say that. But what an inspirational journey from where, from workwear to engineering to actually opening Tutors and Exams. What an inspirational journey. And, looking at now your growth within 10 years, 10 centers in UK, 3 in South Africa, going global. What do you attribute your growth to?
A lot of perseverance, sorry. A lot of hope. No, not a lot of hope. It's people always say, you're very lucky, you've done this. And to be honest, I don't really believe in luck like that. Yeah. It's very much hard work and understanding your market. I mean, we even look at things that, I have no knowledge of, but to go and get that knowledge and understand what market you're getting into, you can apply the same principles for any business. Yeah. And having that background that I had of logistics and engineering and process improvements, all that kind of thing, management, it's brought me to a place where I am now, of having that holistic view of being able to see the big picture, if you like. Yeah. So the big attribute is understanding the big picture and understanding what it is our customers want and need. Don't get me wrong, we're not perfect, and we sometimes fall short of expectation. But as long as you're there to ensure that you can pick up the pieces, and it's how you deal with the problems. Yeah. Problems themselves.
Absolutely.
I hope that wasn't a lot of waffle there.
No, I mean, what you just mentioned and what I'm thinking, reflecting on, is definitely and I mean, you seem to be very resilient in the sense that it has been a very inspirational and a great journey from one to another, and going through all the ups and downs. I remember 2008, 2007, that sort of, it took a toll. And I think for me, what stands out when you said the growth is your learning. You've learned your way through it. So it's when you said luck, I absolutely do not believe. I mean, I really believe the best way to predict the future is to create it. You create your future by learning through it.
Absolutely. And everything is an opportunity. It doesn't matter who you talk to. We've gained some amazing customers. Literally, people wouldn't have thought in a million years that we would become partners with, or or become business relationships with. We're actually quite good friends with people now, where it's just an opportunity where you just start talking with somebody, even in the street. The amount of times I've spoken to somebody in the street, and then we've got on to about education, things like that, and people, wow, I know somebody that does this, I know somebody that does that. Everything's an opportunity. It's just having faith in yourself as well. Understanding what you do.
Faith and belief. Absolutely
And the right people around you. And we've made some big mistakes with the people that we've had around us before, but as long as you can overcome that, it's that whole resilience. You're absolutely right. I think that's probably one of the biggest attributes of our business, is how resilient we are, even during COVID. So exams got cancelled during COVID. First, we turned it into a positive, and we actually grew for those 2 years of COVID. And
Wonderful.
we opened 3 centres and South Africa whilst we were in lockdown. Wow. So everything's an opportunity, like I say, and be resilient, 100%.
Yeah, and then be able to adapt to these changes, because actually, these changes are the time of inorganic growth, because everybody's worrying about how to deal with a lockdown or COVID. But, if you are there, if you have all your systems in place, you're able to adapt to it, you grow inorganically. So well done on that one.
And another top tip, we banned the word change in our business as well. We no longer use the word change, although I've probably used it about 3 times. We now use the word improve. So replace the word change with improve. We're not changing, we're improving.
That's absolutely, that's the key, because if we are not doing that, if you're not improving, then we're not growing.
Absolutely. And it's all about growth and bringing the people on the journey with you, getting the people invested in what your journey is, and making sure that they're bought in. Definitely.
So Chris, if we look back, at the time when you were working as an employee, you were made redundant, started your own business. So how has been the learning from an employee to becoming a business owner and employer? What has been the massive learnings there?
Well, a great quote I once saw, I don't know who said it, but it was, now that I'm an employer, I realised what a terrible employee I was.
Love
And
that. Okay.
so when I first came out of being employed, but I've always been employed by quite large companies, and I've always been involved in trying to find out how they work, how they tick, what is the big picture of the business. Any position that I've been in, I've always wanted to be that next step, that next step, that next step, and try and find out, what makes a business tick. So jumping in on my own was incredibly scary. Don't get me wrong. Yeah. However, between Jenny, my wife, and I, we knew we had the spirit and the ideas, and we could put that in place with our experience. Yeah. And learning the whole juggling of finance and profit and loss and all the rest of it. Whilst we thought we had quite a good understanding, when you're doing it on your own, you need to read a heck of a lot, and get up to speed quick. But that doesn't mean to say you don't plan a business to death, because you need that adaptability. You need to improve, you need to be flexible and resilient. And it will be tough, and you'll come across setbacks, and I think that's what our past had given us, was that resilience. We'd worked for bad employers as well as and understanding that has hopefully given us the experience to pass that on to our employees as well, and be as good as we can.
So it's been a massive learning curve, from being an employee to an employer. But I'm just wondering, because you and your wife are working in the business, how do you balance your personal and business life?
So as much as possible. So we have peaks and troughs within our business, and it's trying to balance that out. So there's entry deadlines. So February for us is Amazon's Christmas, or any other online digital business. So February for us is our Christmas, and September, October is our Easter. So we have those. We have to balance that out. But what we need to do is plan. We make sure that we have the right structure in place to be able to plan those events. Our business was only ever set up to have one centre in Coventry, 100 candidates. We're 10 centres in, we have 13,000 candidates, and it's incredible. And making sure you've got the right people who understand what it is, what they're doing, it is key for us. So we are working less and less and less in the business, and working more and more and more on the business.
I love that.
And the quicker you can do that, the more successful your business will be, because you can apply your knowledge and your vision a lot quicker, and you're not doing all the firefighting all the time.
I love that. I'm glad you said that. Working on the business, absolutely crucial.
As quick as possible.
Exactly. But often, Chris, I mean, you mentioned your business is probably seasonal, peaks and troughs, but otherwise also in terms of cycle, there would be peaks and troughs. Whenever I speak to business owners, and we often talk about the business challenges they face, and most of their challenges would either fall in terms of the growth aspect of the business, more turnover, more profits, or it could be the time, not having enough hours in a day, or it could be the team not working to the full potential. What do you see as a business challenge?
All of those points, absolutely, is not having enough time, but essentially that's making the time. And if you haven't got the time to push your business forward, that means you need more resource, as far as I'm concerned. And there's nothing scarier than seeing somebody that needs to be paid £30,000, whatever the wage is, and that's coming off your bottom line. But what you've got to get your head around and what you've got to move ahead of is that £30,000 is essentially, it's £200,000 to your business. Yeah, in terms of growth and in terms of potentially profit, it's a massive scale up. And as long as you realize that and get it on board quickly, you can identify any problem and work it, like you say, it's getting those resources in place. We need to make sure that we mitigate those risks as much as possible, because the biggest issue of a business owner, I think, is anxiety. Yeah, and all anxiety is the fear of the unknown. So let's look at all the unknowns, all the variables, and what do we need to mitigate all of those unknowns and all those variables. And that's how we apply exams to our candidates as well. Yeah, exactly the same principles of business to our customers, essentially, but they're candidates to us. And it's exam nerves. It's exactly the same as business nerves. You're cautious. It's your money at the end of the day. Yeah, it's your livelihood. It's your mortgage. Look at the risks, but be prepared to take a risk as well. Yeah, I mean, we opened exam centres quite rapidly, but we knew our market, and going out and talking to your market, finding out what it is exactly that they want, looking at that very quickly. If you do want to expand, it's quite all right to be a cottage industry too, but if you do want to expand, you want to be a big business, you want to make things a success. It certainly identify your risks, mitigate your risks, but you're going to lose out at some point. Yeah, the amount of projects we've had that have gone wrong, is incredible. But the positive is the ones that you cut them off quickly. Yeah. So that's the challenges. It's making sure you can identify what's failing and cut it off. Yeah, and be that a member of staff that isn't pulling their weight or whatever. Are they in the right position? Have you given them the right training? You've got to look at that internally yourself. That's a challenge. Have I done something wrong for this person? Have I not put the right training in place? Have I not given them the correct support? And as long as you're able to do that as well, you'll become a success as well, because people will be on board with it. Yeah.
No, that's very fascinating what you just said, and I'm just reflecting on the fact that definitely, risk taking is very important, and it's more of on a reflection of how are you as an employer, and then how you're dealing with this, because things will happen. The two magic words which we use while helping business owners is test and measure.
Yeah, so absolutely.
If there is any strategy, test it for a couple of months, measure the results, and take a decision if it's working or not. Cut it. Yeah. What you just mentioned.
Absolutely. Cut it out if it's not working. Don't be afraid. And even if it's your most amazing dream in the world, I've had 101 amazing dreams that are going to make us a fortune. Yeah. And they don't. Yeah. But you've got to be prepared to accept that, because eventually you'll get the one that does.
And if you not try it, then probably you're standing at status quo.
Absolutely. Yeah. Be prepared to try anything. Yeah. It is as simple as that. And just applying everyday living to your business as well, I think as well. When I talk to our staff, sometimes they don't understand the budgets. It's a case of how do you run your house? Yeah. You have a finite amount of income. Yeah. You know what your outgoings are. It's the same as in business. We have an income, we have a budget, we know what the salaries are, we know how much we need to spend on cleaning and all the rest of it. And it's trying to break things down for people and get their buy-in as well. And that's been really important for us. Yeah, making sure that everybody's okay.
Lovely. Good. Very, very happy to hear that, Chris. Looking at such an incredible business you have set in, you're growing so rapidly. What's the vision for Tutors and Exams?
I think I touched on it at the beginning. We're certainly looking at global initiatives. We're working very closely with the international providers of qualifications in terms of helping them plug their gaps internationally. Certainly looking at Asia, the Middle East, the Far East, America. We're looking at where we can support private candidates. Africa as well, the whole of Africa. Sub-Saharan Africa is crazy. There's the size of it and the complexities of getting people to exam centres and things like that. So we're working really closely with the international partners that we have on securing a future for these candidates and making sure that they have an opportunity to sit and at the same time expand our business as well.
Lovely. Sounds absolutely brilliant. Global expansion, Asia, Middle East. Lovely. We wish all the best to you and Tutors and Exams to achieve that vision. I'm sure there's no doubt about that. To end this up, this is my last question and my favorite too. What advice would you give? Now, I won't say to your younger self because you're very young in my eyes, but let's say if you have to start your business from scratch, what would you do differently?
Do it sooner. Yeah. Do it. I think to myself, and I think I would cut out more of the rubbish earlier. So, when you do start off, you have got that brain of, I don't want this to fail. It's got to succeed. It's got to succeed. It's got to succeed. Yeah. And sometimes it's the same as in a science laboratory. Yeah. They do 1,001 tests. Yeah. And fail 1,000 times. But that one time is the success. Yeah. That's the cure for whatever. That's what I would tell my previous self is, don't focus on making sure everything works. Yeah. Pick, like my mum used to say to me, pick your battles. Yeah. You'll end up winning the war.
Yeah. One of the person I was speaking to, business owner, he reminds me exactly the same thing. He said, don't be afraid to fail.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. And we have. It might look like we're a raging success, but we've had our setbacks, we've had our failures as well. And now we're on the path of success. Absolutely.
And I think that failure is somewhere hindsight. It's learning. It's not a failure, but it's a reasonable way of learning. Otherwise, how much money you would spend on the learning? It's better to fail and learn, experience it yourself, and move forward.
I think so, absolutely. And like you say, failure is just a lesson learned. That's all it is. It's not a failure. Yeah.
Yeah. Wonderful, Chris. It was lovely to speak to you. I have a full page of notes from you. So great advice, great inspiration, and I would be glad, if people listen to this and get their inspiration to start their entrepreneurial journey. So thank you so much for joining us. Anything to mention from your side, Chris, before we end up?
Yeah, if anybody wants to do any external exams, they can come and see us. But or have any projects. But no, guys, it is literally take the plunge, give it a go, listen to advice from other people. Don't think you know it all. Yeah, you might want you have a mission, but everybody else is there to help you do their bit and get the right people in place.
Wonderful. I think you've just summed everything in a nutshell. So thank you for joining us, Chris. Thank you so much for today.
You're welcome. Thank you.